This might be one of the most morally reprehensible movies I've ever seen, but it was fun. I just got back from the movie theater after watching an early screening of How to Make a Killing. And if I'm going to talk about this movie, and there's a lot to say, I need to swap this out for this. Hang in there, folks. This is going to be interesting. So movies are structured where you're supposed to root for your main protagonist. That's the whole point of a movie in most cases. You want the guy to achieve his goals, you want the guy to win, and it's fun to watch this person win. And it's fun to watch them get knocked down a peg and pick themselves back up. But what happens if your main character is one of the worst people in the world? That's what we get with How to Make a Killing. And the movie is perfectly named. The movie is about a guy who grows up knowing that he is in line for a gigantic inheritance, but only if all of his other family members die. Now, they try to make us not like the family by showing that this old, crotchety bastard who just cares about money and doesn't care about his family, he kicks his daughter out for being pregnant, and beautifully played by Ed Harris. She's completely kicked out of the family. She's got no resources. She doesn't have any connection to her family funds. She has to start over from scratch. Her boyfriend got her pregnant, ends up dying in the delivery room because he just can't stand the sight of his girlfriend giving birth. Point being, this kid grows up without a mom. He grows up knowing that his family disowned him since before he was born. So he has a natural inclination to not like this family. And then when he realizes that if he just kills them all, he'll have money, we start seeing all these cousins and uncles and whatnot that have to die in order for him to inherit his bazillion dollars. What I'll say that's good about the movie is that the performances across the board are excellent. Glen Powell is our main protagonist, the youngest member of this family. You understand his motivations. They're reprehensible. He's a murderer, but you knew that going into the movie. And sometimes it's fun to root for a less than savory character. He has two main love interests in the movie, one of which is Julia, played by Margaret Qualley. She's excellent at playing basically the worst woman in the universe. She only cares about money. She wants to be with Glen Powell's character, but only if he's rich. And she's kind of waiting for him to get rich, but she gets impatient in the movie. She really is a detestable, horrible, horrible person, but it's kind of fun to watch her be just detestably horrible. And the actress plays the part very, very well. The other main love interest is Ruth, played by Jessica Henwick. She's a very down-to-earth, likable character, probably the only good person or good person adjacent person in the entire movie. She has understandable motivations, and again, the actress that plays her very, very well. I was impressed with the performances across the board in this movie. Cinematography and music, it is a well-made, competently made film. The problem for me is I hated everyone in the movie. I like movies sometimes where the bad guys win or where the bad guys are who you're rooting for. A good heist movie, an Ocean's 11 type thing. They're criminals, sure, but you can kind of get behind them even though they're doing bad things. But this is really about a guy who commits serial murders for money because he kind of doesn't like his family. Now, some of the family members are shown as being quirky or odd, but none of them are shown as being downright evil, maybe with the exception of Ed Harris, but I'll get to that later. The other characters are just kind of quirky and maybe a little bit unethical, but not somebody you want to die. One of them is a megachurch pastor. They don't really show him doing anything bad other than being a megachurch pastor and having money. Another character is just a drunk guy on a boat, a guy who's bad at making art. These people really don't deserve to die. As the Red Fellow people start dying, the FBI starts to take a notice that, this guy is set to inherit a whole bunch of money, and all the people that are ahead of him are kind of dying. So the FBI goes and says, hey, you know that you're going to inherit a whole bunch of money if these people die, right? And he's like, oh, no, really? And that's basically good enough the FBI believes him. Margaret Qualley's character figures out what's going on. She blackmails our hero, not hero, but protagonist. She blackmails our protagonist. She wants him to embezzle money and give it to her husband so that she can get the money from her husband. Otherwise, she'll go to the authorities with proof that he is a murderer. So he complies. She f***s him over anyway. The movie is very nihilistic. The movie is very dour. The movie is kind of a comedy. It's a dark comedy maybe. But what I don't like about the movie is that it simultaneously pretends to be an anti-capitalist movie while saying getting as much money as possible is the best thing for you. Those two things kind of butt into each other and are never quite resolved. The whole movie is about people trying to get ridiculously wealthy any way they can possibly get wealthy, and you're supposed to root for the worst people in the world in that pursuit. Doesn't have any smart commentary, doesn't have anything to say, it just kind of shows it to you. Now, it's fun watching the people get off. It's fun watching this character do his thing. Glen Powell is just phenomenal in the movie. He's exactly the right person to play the part. He's perfectly cast. He's charismatic. His personality is infectious. Even when he's doing reprehensible shit for horrible reasons, you like the guy anyway. The framing device of the movie is... Get spoilers here on out. The framing device of the movie is he is on death row. He's basically confessing his life story to a priest. Priest can't tell what was said, so he can just spill the beans. He admits to all the murders. He's convicted of the one killing he didn't actually do. And the most reprehensible woman in the world has proof, but she won't give it to the authorities unless he signs over all of his billions of dollars to her. Which he does because he doesn't want to die. The only good person in the movie, Ruth, sticks by his side going to the trial, but eventually she abandons him. She doesn't want to be associated with a convicted murderer because why would she? I mean, she's a nice person, and it's probably a good thing that she doesn't end up with our main character because our main character is a terrible person and she's not. So it's good that she goes away, but you kind of feel bad that she goes away. But immediately afterwards, he goes and decides, you know what? This woman who's been with me the entire movie, who's the most reprehensible woman in the world, I'm going to be with her because she has all the money now, and that's how the movie ends. No matter how shitty you are, it's okay as long as you have boatloads of money. Not really the best message I've ever seen in a movie. This might be one of the most morally reprehensible movies I've ever seen, but it was fun. It was fun and terrible. Glen Powell eventually confronts his grandpa, played by Ed Harris, and Ed Harris tries to kill him with a shotgun, and Glen Powell ends up killing Ed Harris in self-defense. Really interesting action sequence, really the only actual action in the whole movie. There's murders, but there's no chase sequences or violence of any sort. It's just, he murders people by putting little drops of liquid in their drink. Nothing like beating them over the head with a club or anything. He just comes up with ways that are believable that the authorities fall for. Glen Powell is somebody to really watch and pay attention to. I like this actor. I hated his character in this movie, but I like the way he acted in the movie. Anyway, did you see How to Make a Killing? Let me know in the comments what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'm open to suggestions. I don't just watch new movies. I watch a lot of old movies too, so I'm open to suggestions of things that you'd like me to take a look at. Put them in the comments down below, and maybe you'd like my stories. I have 3 novels on Amazon.com, Judas Kiss, Becoming Quincy, and Death Siren. Thank you very much for stopping by my channel. Eric Wilford Watson signing out.